Welcome to the channel. This is the second part of Diablo fighting Holy Knights. Link is in description for the first part. Watch out for spoilers. Subscribe the channel for more web novel chapters. So, now let's start the video. From Arnaud's left palm, a mass of light was discharged. That was the Holy Cannon. Among the magic types that Holy Knights are fluent in, was Divine Magic. It was a simple type of magic and the effects depend on the ability of the user. The attack has holy attributes and was able to inflict damage to any type of monster. However, the demon caught the ball of light and crushed it in its palm like it was nothing. Kufufufufufu. This is quite painful. My palm has gotten burnt. Then, next is that person's turn. The demon said in a calm manner, like nothing happened. However, Arnaud's true aim wasn't to damage it with the holy cannon. While the opponent was taking the attack from the holy cannon, Bacchus took a roundabout path to get at it from behind and struck it in the back with his great axe. The great axe was called a demon killer, a magic weapon used to cut down devils. Even a demon duke couldn't avoid taking damage from that attack. Moreover, the attack didn't stop there. At the same time Arnaud fired the holy cannon, he also prepared his own demon slayer. Spirit beheading was an ultimate technique using the basic technique of fighting spirit. By cladding the weapon in fighting spirit it can cut down anything. Fighting spirit and magical power can be applied on various techniques, but Arnaud was the strongest holy knight. He clad his sword in his fighting spirit, and it glistened in 5 colors. So, converting his 5 attributes of spirit power into fighting spirit, he fused them together and with it, clad his sword. The genius Arnaud. It was because of this special technique that Arnaud was called the strongest holy knight. Shut up, monster. Eat this and die. Ether break kanji. 5 colors spirit virtuous sword. A flash from Arnaud's sword runs along the ground in a line. By using the earth spirit's weight manipulation, the user can decide on the sword's desirable impact. At a speed that transcended the speed of sound, the sword's edge reached Diablo. The strike was clad in holy attributes, an absolute killing power against monsters, along with the attribute to crush evil. A deadly sword that should cut down an archdemon with a single strike. It was impossible for even a demon duke to be uninjured. Not to mention he dealt the blow at the same moment it was being attacked from behind. A perfect surprise attack. Arnaud had no doubt it was the opponent's certain death. However, at the very moment Bacchus' great axe would clash with Diablo's head, Diablo lightly tapped his toe to the ground. With just that, the ground was upheaved and Bacchus, who was approaching from behind, was blown away into the air. Even so, Arnaud's sword, exceeding the speed of sound with its imagined trajectory would still cut the nape of Diablo's neck. It couldn't be stopped. He can do it. Arnaud was convinced of the victory he played out in his mind and put all of his strength into his hand that was grasping the sword. At the same time, he lightens the weight of the sword and then reverses it, driving it towards his target with double the power. Grasping the sword, he doubled its weight by several times by abrupting the generation inertia from gravity's force. This technique's trait also doubled the sword's momentum just before it collided with the enemy. For someone seeing this technique for the first time, it was impossible to evade it. Arnaud had certain belief in his victory. You could say it was a matter of fact. But, unfortunately, from the very beginning Diablo had no intention of evading it. Arnaud's sword cut through the barrier Diablo had erected, and cut Diablo's body. He felt the resistance. But, Arnaud immediately ran to Bacchus' side. He confirmed Bacchus' condition. It turned out that Bacchus was alright and was able to stand. Feeling relief, he switched his focus back to Diablo. Kufufufufufu. I see. What a wonderful technique. Especially the sudden acceleration the moment it makes impact. Even I had difficulty seeing it. And above all else, that attack that incorporates various attributes. Few would be able to withstand that attack. Splendid. Truly splendid. He began praising Arnaud's sword art. But Arnaud doesn't feel the least bit happy hearing it. Obviously. Because clearly the demon wasn't suffering any damage after taking his sword strike. Oi, you didn't suffer any damage at all. Though he didn't want to ask, the words unconsciously slipped from his mouth. Oh, does it seem that way to you? That is just an overestimation. I plan to offset only the holy attributes with my magic barrier, but unfortunately I felt your strike. It seems my magic power had been deprived, just a little though. Thanks to your sword, it seems to possess the ability to steal the opponent's magic power. I overlooked it, but even so, it is also wonderful. What it was not enough. It's like it didn't receive any damage at all from the technique. This wasn't a joke. That ultimate move definitely hit it. An attack that possess various attributes and can easily pierce through several layers of defense barriers. And despite that, that attack was supposed to be the decisive blow. Arnaud's chance of victory was non-existent. And acting as the final blow to Arnaud were these merciless words from the demon, "That's right. With this level of damage, I need to receive about 4.000 hits before I will be annihilated. But, a point of advice, I can recover about 40% of that damage in 1 hour. How is that? There is still some hope for you. Now then, shall we resume again?" So it said, while spreading its hands. Next to him, Bacchus gave up with a sigh. "Hey, Arnaud, it's impossible. We can't hold out like this. Though this might be better than doing nothing at all. I'll buy you some time, so please call Captain Hinata. That's a captain's class with inhumane power, it's not an opponent we can fight." He whispers to Arnaud. "No, I will buy you time. You fool. Your feet are quicker than mine. Above all, there's hope if you and Captain are together. It is no good if it's me." Bacchus shouted and pushed Arnaud away. Arnaud, hearing those words, bit his lip and started to run. But, the reality was cruel. Kufufufufufu. "Oh my, where do you think you going? My mission is to hold you all off here. I will not allow any of you to get past me. Forced to stay." For a moment he didn't understand what it meant by that, but there in front of Arnaud, his companions who were previously on the ground, were now blocking his way. "You guys, step aside," Arnaud shouted, but the demon pointed him to the harsh reality before him. "Oh my, your companions still seem intent to play. I only asked them if they would be so grateful to betray their ally." So it said. Arnaud looked at his companions properly. They each wore a blank expression, as if they were in some sort of trance. Sophia, stop it. Come to your senses." Arnaud turned to face Bacchus, who was vomiting blood while shouting to the other adjutant Sophia, who was sobbing in front of him. She had the same trance-like look on her face as the others, standing across from Bacchus, who was holding out his sword. "You bastard. What have you done to my companions?" Arnaud glares at Diablo and shouts. The demon replies with a sneer. "Kufufufufufu. What are you implying? Nevertheless, I only tempted them. Because they feared me, they seem to have accepted it easily. Temptation, that is." Arnaud suddenly realized. There was a characteristic of monsters that were demon kin called the temptation skill. To mesmerize the target. An ability that can manipulate someone's mind as it likes. But, he'd never heard of a demon that had the ability to mesmerize a holy knight. To save someone under this mesmerization, you either have to defeat the demon who is manipulating them, or kill the person. To sum it up, the only thing that can be done now is to evade his companion's attacks and defeat Diablo. If not, the only option left was to kill his comrades. He can't go easy on the holy knights. Even subconscious, these guys were pragmatic. Someone who is mesmerized moves their body subconsciously. This was too much, their awareness was cursed through temptation. This demon was, clearly a disaster class. A threat that stood on equal grounds with a demon lord. Bacchus, who was holding off Sophia, was strangled from behind by 2 holy knights. And just like that he lost consciousness. He had remained fainted, but now that meant Arnaud remained alone. To get through this situation alone, was not an impossible feat. Furthermore, the red-haired demon's gold oblong pupil glistened a bewitching hint of red as he held up Sophia with one hand. Suddenly, Sophia's beautiful blonde hair turned a deep crimson red, as if it were soaked in blood. She showed an ecstatic look on her face. Her hair turned back into blonde. He looked at her suspiciously. Sophia lost consciousness and fainted. No way. His worry suddenly turned frantic. Kufufufufu. Whoops, that was dangerous. I unintentionally turned her into a fallen. If I do such things, there's no way Rimuru-sama will give me the seat of first rank. Leaving Arnaud with these uncertain words, Diablo turns his head in his direction. What he'd just seen was the demon making the holy knight Sophia into its companion. He didn't want to imagine what would have happened if it succeeded. The demon was for some reason concerned about his actions and stopped halfway through. Thus, Sophia was saved. But it was still too early to be relieved. After all, well then, let's resume. Launch whatever attack pleases you. Until I get tired, I will be your opponent. Left alone without a single reinforcement and surrounded by 5 holy knights. It was impossible to escape this. Even so, Arnaud refused to give up. His last hope was held in Hinata defeating the enemy's boss and coming to his adjutant. Arnaud prepared himself. The curtain on Arnaud's hopeless fight has risen. That's it for this video. Subscribe the channel for more web novel chapters. Meet you on next video.